This is the time of year that as a gardener, we all get a little antsy to get outside. And while the garden hasn't completely woken up yet, there are a few things that we can start to do, including planting some cool season crops. Now, cool season crops are different than warm season crops because they prefer growing at a temperature below 70 degrees. So they actually can really take advantage of some of these really warm winter days that we have as we head into spring. Now, if you're wondering what the difference is between a cool season crop and a warm season crop, well, a good rule of thumb to think about is what part of the plant are you trying to harvest? If it's the root, the stem, or the leaves, it's likely a cool season crop. Think about carrots, lettuce, celery, broccoli. Those sort of plants we're after the plant tissue. Whereas if you're after the fruit of a plant that comes from the actual flower, such as peppers, tomatoes, watermelon, then those are your warm season crops. And it actually kind of makes sense because when you start a plant, what's the first thing that grows on that plant? It's usually the roots and the stems and the leaves. And so therefore your harvest is a lot sooner on those plants. Now again, this is just a very general rule. It doesn't apply to all vegetables. It's not a hard and fast rule. One example that breaks this rule is sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes is a root, but it is a warm season crop that we harvest later on in fall. So let's get to planting our cool season crops. We've got some lettuce here, some radishes, and some different greens like spinach and things like that. So we're gonna do something called succession planting. Now, when you get your seed packet, a lot of times it's tempting to go ahead and plant all of those seeds at one time. But with cool season crops, you don't necessarily have to do that because it might be that if you plant all of this lettuce, then that means harvest is going to come all at the same time, and you probably don't want to be eating that much lettuce at one time before it goes bad. So succession planting allows you to plant just a little bit and then plant a little bit more the next couple of weeks and so on and so forth. So you've kind of intervaled your harvest time as well. Now we are planting today in a trough here, so I'm just going to plant about 1.5 feet of lettuce seeds. If you're starting from a previously planted container, you want to make sure that you've freshened up that soil or added new soil. Sometimes the soil level can shrink down a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and add some more potting soil to our bed here, just to raise up that level a little bit. Now, of course, a lot of times when it comes out fresh, you're going to get clods like this, so you want to make sure you break that up and then smooth out your planting area. You don't want to completely fill a container over the edge, because if you do that and when you water, then a lot of times that water will take your seeds away and wash them away. So make sure that you leave a little bit of a lip on your container. Now, the beauty of planting cool season crops is just having a nice fluffy surface area is really all you need. A lot of times the seeds are very small, so we don't really have to worry about planting space too much. You can see here with some lettuce seeds, what we're going to do, see how tiny they are? We're just going to kind of sprinkle those across our surface here. And you would do the same again with like radishes and carrots and stuff. We will probably come back and sort of thin those out just a little bit as they continue to grow so that they don't compete for space. But we're going to just sprinkle these on here, and I'm going to do, like I said, about 1.5 feet, and that's about it. So we're going to kind of mark this area here. And I'm using my hand just to kind of cover this up a little bit, and then of course we'll need to water those in to really settle that potting soil around those seeds. So in a couple of weeks I'll come back and do another couple of feet, and so we'll have a later harvest, and we can continue to do this for a while as we go through our spring. And depending on when those warm summer temperatures finally arrive, then that's going to make our lettuce a little bitter. Now, if you're new to gardening, this is one of the easiest ways to get involved in gardening is with cool season crops. Also, if you have any young kids, this is a really great way. Now with carrots, you want to be mindful though that you're after the root, and so if you have any like heavy rocky clay soils, that oftentimes will cause those carrots to split and kind of give you some funny looking carrots. Now in this particular thing, you can see that this is more of a trug style planter, and so it slopes inward. So if we were to put carrots on the edge, then they're going to kind of hit that and then kind of divert and maybe not be the straightest of carrots. Another option to do if you're just getting into gardening is just simply get a clay pot or some sort of pot like this and fill it with some potting soil. So it can be that simple. But this is a great way to grow cool season crops. If you haven't invested in a garden bed or anything like that, or you don't want to invest in a large container, something as simple as this is a great way to get started into gardening, especially for young kids as well. Some of these cool season crops, when you plant them, they will be ready to harvest in as little as 30 days, providing you with some really instant gratification. So here we have some carrot seeds. Again, they're very tiny, so you can see how little those are. And we're just going to sprinkle those along the top here and then kind of tamp them into that soil profile to make sure there's good contact. And of course, we'll water those in. Remember to keep that lip there so that they don't wash away when you are watering them. Again, cool season crops is a great way to get introduced into gardening, whether you're young or finding it later on in life.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.